There's too many people to thank. I mean, Johnny took this to London, you know, to help me fetch it back. People who helped me put that up. John for his idea. Who is he? Who is he?
He's back there.
John for the idea. Bob for the inspiration, because it was Bob's idea. Nobody else's. He was the inspiration.
You come up with some
But
great
here it
ideas.
is. The job is done. We've got a standing stone. We've got a memorial stone. So, who wants to
Bob, can you say something?
Okay, can anyone hold an umbrella for me?
Yeah, I'll do it. Oh, all right.
He's always late, isn't he? Yeah, this. Yeah, come on, you've got to stand over here, Bob. This is Bob. And like I say, he's our inspiration, definitely, for this.
Okay, right, I'm just going to read out a short tribute to Alfred Watkins. In June 1921, Alfred Watkins came to this spot and experienced his revelation of the lay system. 90 years later, in June 2011, I followed him, eager to see what he'd seen at Blackwoodine and better understand his experience. I must admit to feeling disappointed with what I found here. There was no visible alignment or any feature which would obviously suggest a lay. I needn't have been so disappointed. I'd not seen much, but then as far as we can tell, Watkins had not seen much here either. That was not the nature of his experience. His writings, and those of his son Alan, tell us that Watkins' vision of the lay system came into his mind instantaneously. Without warning, his mind flooded with images so coherent that there were only a few basic ideas to be added to his theory after that day. His perception of lays was sudden, complete and intuitive in nature. Let's turn for a moment to some of Watkins' other achievements outside of the field of lays, as these make up an important part of who he was. He was a skillful photographer in a time when photography was hard work and not the trivial exercise that it is today. In Watkins' young day, you needed a tent to provide shade while you dipped your glass plate in a silver solution before loading it into the camera, which had to be mounted on a tripod. Next time you take a selfie with your smartphone, spare a thought for poor Watkins. The famous B meter, the light meter that Watkins designed and built, was taken to Antarctica by photographer H.G. Ponting to help record Captain Scott's ill-fated expedition in 1910. Ponting later wrote to Watkins, thanking him and saying that his photos would have been impossible without the meter. Watkins was also a keen innovator as a baker of bread. After careful experimentation, he designed instruments to help calculate baking times based on how fast the dough rose before baking started. And in the early days of his father's flour mill, it was Watkins who pioneered the use of electric light in the mill from a generator, the first such use of electricity in Herefordshire. Watkins' innovations arose from an inquiring mind coupled with patience, a methodical approach and accurate observation. He was to apply all these skills in his famous book on lays, The Old Straight Track, where he tried to amass evidence for the lay system which would convince skeptics. Throughout his life, Watkins had explored and observed his local landscape. As a teenager, he had entered Radnor Vale in Powys, driving his father's brewery wagon, noticing the tumuli and megaliths of the area. Later, as a keen photographer, he travelled around Herefordshire and the Welsh borders, recording on glass plates, towns, villages and countryside. When the moment at Blackwoodine came in 1921, he had been absorbing the landscape for decades. After the discovery of Leys, he went on to write The Old Standing Crosses of Herefordshire, a photographic pilgrimage to record images of all the stone crosses he knew of in the county, of which there were many. Later still, he went on to write about the Ledbury Hills in eastern Herefordshire and their literary connections. His life was characterised by a restless energy which drove him to experiment and to explore, and having explored, to reveal what he had found to others. On Watkins' death in 1935, a poem was written by Mr. H. Hudson in tribute to him. This poem was found by Society of Lay Hunters researchers in 2004 in the Straight Track Club archives in Hereford Library. I'd like to read it out now. I'm grateful to John Lord for finding it and to Adrian Hyde for copying it out and posting it to me. He was a valiant law unto himself. He framed a ladder other feet will climb. From Yule to Yule, from Vespers until prime, through 80 years he laboured not for self. With hand upon the plough he turned not back. His life's long span knew not the eventime when none may work. He only knew to climb amid forgotten waymarks on the old straight track, to where there gleamed for him the beacons of a world sublime. It's a beautiful poem, I think, and one thing I like about it is that we're all mentioned in it. He framed a ladder other feet will climb. Some of those feet are our feet, and when we just walked up from Risbury, we were climbing another rung of that ladder. Some people might say that Watkins was wrong, that there are no such thing as Leys. They're entitled to their opinion. Others will say, okay, there are Leys, but so what? Are they relevant to us today? In my opinion, yes they are. For thousands of years, human beings have walked the land. We have farmed and hunted, observed the heavens and told stories about the landscape around us. It's only in the last 100 years or so that we haven't. We're cut off from the land. Studying Leys, and especially walking them, reconnects us with something that we have lost. Alfred Watkins was a methodical, analytical experimenter with a strongly intuitive streak, an explorer who did not leave Herefordshire, a new age pioneer who wore a suit. He's a difficult person to categorise, but there can be no doubt that he felt a strong connection with the landscape and its ancient sites. He begins his introduction to the old straight track with this quotation from W.H. Hudson's Hampshire Days. We sometimes feel a kinship with and are strangely drawn to the dead, the long, long dead, the men who knew not life in towns and knew no strangeness in sun and wind and rain. In such a mood on that evening, I went to one of those lonely barrows. This quote was surely important to Watkins, describing what we might call today a spiritual attraction to the sacred sites, a yearning to spend time there and to feel the presence and guidance of the ancestors. We followed in his footsteps by walking from Risbury and stepping up another rung on his ladder. Let's carry on climbing the ladder, and remember, the ladder has no end.
Hey.
That was fantastic, thank you.
Hey, I'd like someone, if you have a look at this now, Philip. Yeah, I think Philip, you ought to come and pull this off this stove. Well, of course, if you want to see it properly, you're going to have to get over here. Because
Jimmy, help him.
Yeah, Jimmy, go and grab a corner.
Grab a corner, Jimmy.
Come on, Jim. Sound.
This stone was raised to celebrate the antiquarian Alfred Watkins, 1855 to 1935. At this crossroads, on the 30th of June 1921, he saw the landscape anew and discovered the existence of lays. Society of Lay Hunters, June 2015. Very good. I'm very pleased that that's there.
Well, it's given such enjoyment to so many people over the decades.
It has, indeed.
Even that alone should stand for something.
We're within sight now of the centenary of his discovery of lays, only another 6 years. Perhaps we ought to think what, if anything, we can do to commemorate that. Now is not too early to start thinking about that. It seems as if 13th of June is a date that I go to unveiling of things, because the last unveiling was exactly a year ago when I helped to unveil a plaque to Gerald Gardner, the writer about modern witchcraft revival, and that was a nice sunny day, I seem to remember. But anyway, this is very, very good.
Oh, right. Being out and about in the English countryside.
Hold your cup.
Yes.
We're going to have a little
Absolutely.
toast.
That's
right.
quite possible. Oh,
Fill
what's
us a
this?
cup, we're going to have a toast.
Oh, we're going to have a toast. Oh, excellent. Very good. Alfred Watkins was a lager drinker. Yeah.
Was it cheap pop, but
Oh, thank you. Excellent. Great, thanks. The stones should certainly get some, I think. Yeah.